Well, I'm terribly honored to see our friends here, but as well as such a distinguished audience. It's a great honor to be here at Concordia. Thank you to Nick Logotet. Your name is almost as difficult as mine, Logotet, for introducing me. And they have done an amazing job by bringing this distinguished group and by just very carefully selecting the topic for this conference. I'm especially delighted that also George Bush is taking part in this conference. And through the prism of history, we can see even more clearly now that he responded with courage and determination to very horrific situations of 9/11. And I think this was horrible attacks targeting not only Washington, New York, or a particular nation, even America, but way of life, freedom, and democracy all around the world. Hard times require great and bold leaders, and I'm sure that everybody here recognizes that he was such a leader. This is for sure a beautiful and challenging name, Concordia, looking at the turbulent times of ours. A beautiful name and an essential initiative. Because the war that extremists has launched against us all is far from being over. Because freedom and democracy remain more than ever our best weapons against extremism, which is precisely why the extremists love them so much. Because history is far from end, we are celebrating 20th years of the demise of the Soviet Union. We are marking the 10th year of 9/11. Every time, after each event, some people were saying, history is over. Well, I think they were always wrong. History is not over. History has always been there, and history could be very tragic. And of course, these illusions are also dangerous because we have always to be ready. We have always to be proactive. We have always to do things. I would like to speak today about this universal call for freedom. This call on basis which we base the strategy against extremism and terrorism. This call is motor of history, and today this call is heard also after what is happening these days in Arab world. Major historical events always take us by surprise. Nobody predicted but planned the revolutions that swept across Eastern and Central Europe in 1890-89. I mean, our friend Alexander Kwasniewski helped to engineer the transition in a very, very turbulent and difficult time for Poland in a very wise and good way. Now again, nobody has predicted also what happened in some of other former Soviet countries a few years ago, something that they called color revolution. Again, nobody has predicted what happened in Arab world. And, and I think the real revolution is not when televisions cover it. The real revolution starts when the camera is switched off, when CNN, Fox, and the others leave the place, and then the real work starts. In Georgia, when Western TV crews left, that's where the real revolution started. We initiated a radical and comprehensive transformation of our society that was described recently by the Economist of London as mental revolution. Of course, we did not succeed in anything. We have significant shortcomings, we made mistakes, but as great European philosopher Immanuel Kant said, you cannot be free, you cannot be ready to be free until actually you are free. So what he meant is that no book can teach you in advance how to act in concrete situations of freedom. And he also meant that the pursuit of freedom brings uncertainty and risk, and this risk should be seized if you want to be an actor in your life and in your nation's destiny. In Georgia, we found a handbook to guide us. There were lots of advisors to advise us, but indeed we had to take decisions. Indeed, we started by firing our entire police force, and Georgia lived for 3 months without traffic police and other policemen. Amazingly, during this very period, accident rate and crime rate went down by 70%. Why? Not only because police was responsible for most of the crimes, coincidentally, but also because people felt that they were part of common adventure, that they had a stake, that they were living this very specific on one nation's history where everything seems possible. People were exhilarated, happy to be part of something bigger than their everyday lives. When values become basis of politics, when you have the feeling of inventing your own future. This feeling is a true motor of history, and I'm sure it can be found in every newly liberated place in the world. This feeling is our best ally against extremists, because it is a fragile feeling and it has to be entertained. Because unless you move very fast, if you wait too long, then eventually extremists take over. And when extremists take over, the main thing is that they tend to blame everything on the others, especially maybe foreign forces or somebody else inside, and they are not keen to take responsibility for their own society, because they think that they are, they are not apt, they are not responsible enough. And that was also our experience through our long history, also in recent times. In Georgia, we managed to maintain alive this feeling of this freshness till now, and got tremendous results thanks to that. Thanks to radical changes in our police, customs, tax services, to all government structures, and thanks to the widespread feeling among the people that they owned actually those transformations, we have made greater progress in Transparency International's corruption index since 2003 than any other state in the world. According to EBRD, we are third least corrupt country in Europe, second least corrupt police force in Europe. We have built a highly favorable investment climate based on the fact that no other country has progressed so much on World Bank ranking of doing business in the last 5 years as we did. And we are now on number one place in Eastern and Central Europe, and number 11th in the world. We used to be 147th. Georgia was one of the most criminalized countries in the world, I have to mention. It was something that, like Palermo, what Palermo was to Western Europe, was the same thing to Eastern Europe. And Georgia now is the safest country in Europe, according to the European Union, after Iceland, which happens to be an island, and our capital. Our capital is even safer than Reykjavik. So it's almost very boring. But there is still a lot to be done, obviously, and we are more committed than ever to pursuing our path of reforms, keeping or building our democracy at gunpoint. But our model is neither perfect nor necessarily transformable to Arab nations. Everybody have to do things that they have to do. But to sum up, what I think is generally applicable is that, first of all, no matter how beautiful and moving the popular uprisings are, the real revolution consists more in the long and difficult process of reforms that follows, and window of opportunity for reformers can be very small, and it can shut down very fast, and there can be no second chance. Second, only a whole of government and whole of society approach to reform can bring tangible, enduring results. The reforms of the judiciary, police, tax collection, customs, political class, electoral code, education system should not be implemented individually, but as a part of complete project of social transformation. Third, and here we might encounter differences with the Middle East, one of the things that mattered most in Georgia is our people were and remain united around the common goal of joining the transatlantic democratic community of states, membership of NATO and the European Union. The U.S. help is and is still crucial in consolidating the democratic process, and this underscores how important it is for America and the West in general to have an active foreign policy that supports emerging democracies in the Caucasus. Because forces that fight against freedom, they think that they don't fight Georgia. They really do genuinely believe that they're fighting America, or they're fighting the West in general. That's what they're saying. That's what the way they are behaving, because the values we represent for them is already America. And for that same reason, America cannot just stay back and say, okay, we haven't, it's none of our business. I mean, it is part of what we believe in, and that's what makes America so special. Because if America has no idealism, then if America tries to become just another country, it's not going to be successful. It's not going to be around anymore in the world politics. That's my assessment of what is important about what is America's role there. The promotion of freedom is the only long-term policy that will save us from our enemies and allow us to create the conditions for the Concordia to which we all aspire. Our fight against those who want to suppress freedom is going on, and this is why the initiatives such as Concordia is so essential. Thank you.